This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live where it is Indictment Day again, and another one. Coming on early so that we can get the Trump news out of the way, so that we can watch the rocket go boom off the coast of Virginia at about 8:30 Eastern Time. NASA launching a... Goddamn, that's good. Holy shit. I didn't order groceries yesterday. Fuzzy Simba, good evening. Well, I assure you, this is going to be anything but boring on this stream. I didn't order groceries yesterday, and I was kicking myself because I was out of coffee creamer. But that was all I was out of, right? I didn't lack anything for dinner. So I ordered groceries today, and it turns out, it's like 3 months of tax-free groceries started today. So I actually saved myself about $9 or $10. Because I ordered quite a bit of groceries. And I was like, well, shit. Look at me. But most of those savings were canceled out by the fact that, like, if I'd paid my electric bill yesterday, I would have saved $4. See? I procrastinate on most things. Because I procrastinate on ordering groceries, I saved about $9. Because I procrastinated on paying my electric bill. I lost out on $4. Not high enough for this shit. We do have other news to get to, but most of the stream is going to be Trump and the rocket launch. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Richard Dawkins and his turn into transphobia. We're going to talk about students who are being punished with shit meals for having debt at school, which shouldn't be a thing. I think tomorrow is when we're going to talk about this one, too. I'm going to put it off, because I've got some stories. Probably this one's going to be tomorrow. A white cop is crying that he was fired for racism after losing his job to another white cop. He lost out on like a promotion or something to another white cop. He's crying racism. I don't know how that's possible. That's shit we're going to talk about tomorrow that I felt was important that I need to put on my notes so I didn't forget about it, so that we talk about it tomorrow. What we're going to talk about tonight is 5,000 gallons of hazardous waste, including COVID, hepatitis, and more, removed from some kind of facility in California, a legal Californian lab. Potential mass shooting was thwarted yesterday by security at a Jewish school. Apparently, a former student showed up and fired shots trying to force their way inside. Unsuccessful. I've got some fantastic video. Breadline, good evening. Aw, shit. I'm going to keep you company. Well, we're on a little bit early so we can cover the Trump indictment, and then we're going to watch a rocket launch. NASA is launching a rocket off the coast of Virginia in about an hour, or less than an hour, about 50 minutes from now. We're gonna flip over to the NASA feed and watch the launch here in just a little bit. Got some video for you later on in the stream of the gigantic X being removed, and like anything that cost Elon Musk money I'm all for, and I would say that giant sign that was blinding people cost him some money. American History X. San Francisco has taken down. I'm sorry you can't watch the rocket launch because you're driving. I'm sorry, Breadlud. I'm not high enough for this shit. I was watching out all day. All day today, all day yesterday, because as I said last night on the stream, I was expecting this indictment anytime. I'd already thought if they were going to do it, they would have done it already. It would have been like noon or 1 or something. So I wasn't paying attention anymore. I go to actually start putting this stream together, to looking for stories for the stream, and that is the exact time that Jack Smith decides to come out and give a press conference and say that he indicted the former president of the United States. His third time being indicted, facing 4 more counts, the account of conspiracy. We'll go over that here in just a second. I'm not high enough. I have to pack another bong here, though. I was grinding up new pot as we were doing the countdown. Oh, to update you guys, do you know about my stalker? It is August 1st. I was doing some work earlier today, and I have a client. They like me to title their videos with like the date. Start off with the date, right? So I title their video, and I'm like 07 blah 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 whatever 20. And then like it hits me like, oh shit, it's not July anymore, it's August. And right about that time, I close out whatever program I was working in, and I look at my email, and one of my clients is like, now, because she's on me every month. I always forget to send her my invoice at the end of the month. She's like, now Justin, can you send me your invoice? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I thought it was still July. I swear I labeled something July just now. Warlord, good evening, my friend. It is officially the first day of August. Nix, good evening. My stalker has officially said he is quitting me. What stalker, you may ask? He dare not show up on the stream. This is him just messaging me. Yes, you can keep going back. I respond every now and again, but I prefer to actually have my arguments in public. So this jerk ass has just been fucking DMing me, and I haven't been responding back. Occasionally I'll laugh at his messages, as you can see right here. Something about, I don't even know what the fuck, Anna Kasparian, derp. I don't know what the fuck he was trying to say there. I'm kind of interested. Hold on. What the fuck did he say about Anna Kasparian? Who even gives a shit? Bigot chat. WTSF is that. Dude, you've gone after Anna Kasparian. Derp. Yeah. I go after people when they say stupid shit. But apparently he's done with me now. Now, he did comment on this thread 30-something times. But he has officially blocked me now. Oh, it's hilarious. Alright, so if you notice, if you follow me on Facebook, I have a cover photo. Maybe, yeah, this is my cover photo. That's our buddy Chris. Just saw the message from. Several of my friends on my personal page was like, he sure does think about you a lot. Need to make that. Now my cover photo. Ignore him? No, I just do all my fighting in public. No, I'm stupid enough to respond to him when he comes to any of my public posts. I don't even, okay, so that's something, we'll probably do that tomorrow night. Chank went on with that Patrick Bet David dude. Yeah, what the fuck is that face? But, he started talking about how he's TYT, him and Anna specifically, are the mainstream progressives. They are mainstream progressives, and on their issues they win. And I would love to be like, what do you mean by that? What, you're a leftist, but you don't defend trans people? I don't understand. What does mainstream progressive mean? Isn't that just a shit lib? Yeah, I only watched part of the video because that's what I had on in the background when Trump got indicted. So I haven't watched the whole video yet. I've only watched like the first minute or two. It's only like a 4 or 5 minute video. We'll watch that shit tomorrow. I hate that Patrick Bet David dude. I used to love Anna, and I used to like Anna a lot better than Jake. I mean, I guess an argument could be made that they're the mainstream, but like, I want to know what radical he specifically talked about. We'll get to that. We'll play that video tomorrow, and we'll get to like what radical policies he's talking about. There was a meme going around, or just a Twitter post or something. Got screenshotted. And it said, the centrist position, or the moderate, that's how it put it, the moderate position on climate change is to nationalize the oil industry, arrest all of the CEOs, and try them for war crimes. You don't want to know what the leftist position is on climate change. That's true. That's true. So if TYT is taking a capitalist approach, TYT doesn't think that the oil, which I don't know. I don't know exactly what TYT's policy prescription is, because I don't watch a lot of them. But if they don't think like the oil industry should be nationalized and we should try all of the CEOs for war crimes, I wouldn't even say they're not moderate. I don't know. That's a discussion we'll do tomorrow night. We got a lot of shit to talk about tonight. We better get to it if I can't ramble too long. We got a rocket launch to watch. Gotta do like 30 minutes of Trump news here. So, as some of you may have heard, Indicted earlier this afternoon for a third time, this time on the federal level, in relation to his conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government on January 6, 2021, in the 2020 election. This was Jack Smith, special counsel's, this was Jack Smith, the special counsel's statement earlier this afternoon.
Good evening. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with conspiring to defraud the United States, conspiring to disenfranchise voters, and conspiring and attempting to obstruct an official proceeding. The indictment was issued by a grand jury of citizens here in the District of Columbia, and it sets forth the crimes charged in detail. I encourage everyone to read it in full. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies. Lies by the defendant targeted at obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying the results of the presidential election. The men and women of law enforcement who defended the U.S. Capitol on January 6th are heroes. They are patriots and they are the very best of us. They did not just defend a building or the people sheltering in it. They put their lives on the line to defend who we are as a country and as a people. They defended the very institutions and principles that define the United States. Since the attack on our Capitol, the Department of Justice has remained committed to ensuring accountability for those criminally responsible for what happened that day. This case is brought consistent with that commitment, and our investigation of other individuals continues. In this case, my office will seek a speedy trial so that our evidence can be tested in court and judged by a jury of citizens. In the meantime, I must emphasize that the indictment is only an allegation and that the defendant must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. I would like to thank the members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation who are working on this investigation with my office, as well as the many career prosecutors and law enforcement agents from around the country who have worked on previous January 6th investigations. These women and men are public servants of the very highest order, and it is a privilege to work alongside them. Thank you.
Why didn't you charge any of the other co-conspirators, Mr. Smith?
Are you worried this gets back to the election?
So, as he said, you should read the indictment, so let's fucking do that thing, because it looks to be 45 pages long. The charges: count 1, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Count 2, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Count 3, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. Count 4, conspiracy against rights. Defendant Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of the United States and a candidate for re-election in 2020. The defendant lost the 2020 presidential election. Despite having lost, the defendant was determined to remain in power. So, for more than 2 months following Election Day on November 3rd, 2020, the defendant spread lies that there had been outcome determinative fraud in the election that he had actually won. These claims were false, and the defendant knew that they were false. The defendant repeated and widely disseminated them anyway to make his knowingly false claims appear legitimate, create an intense national atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and erode public faith in the administration of the election. The defendant had a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and to even claim falsely that there had been outcome determinative fraud during the election that he had won, and that he had won. Also entitled to formally challenge the results of the election through lawful and appropriate means, such as by seeking recounts or audits of the popular vote in states or filing lawsuits challenging ballots and procedures. Indeed, in many cases, the defendant did pursue these methods of contesting the election results. His efforts to change the outcome in any state, though, through recounts, audits, or legal challenges, were uniformly unsuccessful. Shortly after Election Day, the defendant also pursued unlawful means of discounting legitimate votes and subverting the election results. In doing so, the defendant perpetrated 3 criminal conspiracies. A conspiracy to defraud the United States by using dishonesty, fraud, and deceit to impair, obstruct, and defeat the lawful federal government function by which the results of the presidential election are collected, counted, and certified by the federal government. A conspiracy to corruptly obstruct and impede the January 6th congressional proceeding at which the collected results of the presidential election are counted and certified. A conspiracy against the right to vote and to have one's vote counted in violation of 18 USC 241. So that is just page 2 of the indictment. They lay out all of the evidence they have against him. Great detail. Jack Smith urges you to check it out, and if you want, it is in the chat. Merrick Garland was confronted by Attorney General at the DOJ, confronted by reporters earlier this afternoon. Had to say.
Engaged in what has become the largest investigation in our history. In November last, I appointed Jack Smith, a special counsel, to take on the ongoing investigation in order to underline the department's commitment to accountability and independence. Mr. Smith and his team of experienced, principled career agents and prosecutors have followed the facts and the law wherever they lead. Any questions about this matter will have to be answered by the filings made in the courtroom.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
I mean, he's really not the dude to ask because he ain't got shit to do with it because he handed that investigation off. I would assume that they have to go through the DOJ and tell them what they're doing. Arrange something like Merrick Garland probably had to sign off on what Jack Smith is doing. That's why there's a special counsel, so there's seemingly impartiality. Overshadowed by this afternoon's news was the fact that a Trump ally in Michigan has been charged for his role in 2020 election fraud.
Breaking news now on 13 on your side.
Well, breaking right now at 5, a grand jury has filed criminal charges against the former Republican candidate for state attorney general, as well as former state representative. They're accused of unlawfully tampering with voting tabulators. It's a story we have been following closely for months. 13 on your side's Joshua Albertus is in the newsroom now.
Okay, first of all, his suit looks like it came off like a little toy doll or something. What the fuck is up with that? Second, like it looks like he's like got a coat hanger behind. I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry to pick on you, man.
With what we're learning so far, Josh?
Well, that former candidate Matthew DePerno ran unsuccessfully against Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel in 2022. He was
this dude ran into a fucking door.
Taking 5 vote tabulators from various Michigan counties, including Berry County. Today, a grand jury authorized charges against both DePerno, who former President Trump endorsed last year in the race for Attorney General, and Dare Rendon, who served in the State House of Representatives. Rendon is charged with the.
You know, I'm amazed Navarro hasn't been indicted indicted
while
yet.
DePerno is charged with undue possession, conspiracy to commit undue possession,
Eastman is shitting his pants,
and willful damage of a voting machine. Because Nessel ran against DePerno, she secured a special prosecutor, DJ Hilson from Muskegon County, saying he wouldn't have a conflict of interest while investigating the accusations. In a statement, Hilson said, quote, "Although our office made no recommendations to the grand jury as to whether an indictment should be issued or not, we support the grand jury's decision and we will prosecute each of the cases as they have directed in the sole interests of justice." The charges come as former President Trump is also being investigated for election interference in Georgia. Separately, Trump said in mid-July that he is a target of a federal investigation into efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election.
Apparently, he started screaming about it on social media. It had some kind of indication that it was imminent, and then boom, out comes Jack Smith. It all happened so fast. And it's possible that we ain't done with indictments this week. So he's the first former president to be indicted. He's the first former president to be indicted 3 times. He could also set a record. He's the first former president to be indicted multiple times in a year. He could also be the first former president to be indicted multiple times in a week. They are putting up more barricades in Fulton County in Georgia.
The DA has indicated that possible indictments could come anytime between now and August 18th. So we have been keeping a close watch on the Fulton County Courthouse as grand juries meet this week, and we have noticed security is a lot more tight than normal. 11 Live's Joe Ripley is live there now. And Joe, you just spoke with the Fulton County Sheriff about it a couple of hours ago. How confident is he in the current state of security there?
Well, Fulton County Sheriff Patrick Labatt tells me that if an indictment came down today, he and his office would be ready. That's because they've been preparing for potential charges to come down in this case for months now. You might notice the orange barricades outside of the Fulton County Courthouse. Those were set up in anticipation for potential charges to come down. The sheriff says these and other resources are going to help divert traffic throughout this time. We also noticed more police presence today compared to yesterday. The sheriff would not comment specifically on how much manpower is at his disposal, only that local, state, and federal law enforcement stand at the ready should a grand jury decide to charge former President Trump or any of his supporters.
Our goal is to provide a wide perimeter that creates safety first and access second. So ultimately, those that need to be in the courthouse can conduct business in the courthouse in a safe.
To be honest, sir, safety would be locking up Trump. It is August 3rd, right, when he has to appear in court? Hold on. August 3rd at 4 p.m. We will be back on Door Watch. Indictment days, they are usually static shots watching a door for long periods of time while I make jokes.
Safe environment.
And the sheriff tonight saying that he, D.A. Willis, as well as judges have received dozens of threats leading up to this point, all in connection to this election investigation. Coming up at 6, I'll share his message to those he calls bad actors.
It's true, like, I know that Trump supporters are mental midgets, but they're not actual midgets. I think they could scale those barriers. We saw them on January 6th. They scaled the steps of the Capitol. And those are pretty large. Those are like 2-3 stories high. Come on. Those little barriers ain't gonna do shit.
Actors looking to disrupt these proceedings and cause trouble.
Come on, man. All right, Joe. Thank you so much for.
That's what they did that on January 6th. Is they underestimated what the crowd was capable of. They're the violent ones. As long as we're talking about January 6th, let's do we talked about, was it last night we did Joe Rogan pushing the January 6th conspiracy theory? It might have been night before last. His dumbass was out here talking about Ray Epps. Ray Epps' attorney has fired back at Joe Rogan's January 6th false flag absurdity. If Rogan is truly interested in focusing on who instigated the January 6 riots, Epps' lawyer said, he would find more truth in looking at the mirror. Ray Epps, the former Trump acolyte at the center of wild right-wing conspiracy theories about January 6th, is pushing back against the absurdity of podcaster Joe Rogan's claim that he clearly instigated the Capitol riots and helped the federal government orchestrate a false flag. During a broadcast of the Joe Rogan Experience last week, the conspiracy-peddling comic once again pushed the unfounded claim that Epps was an undercover agent for the FBI who purposely incited MAGA supporters to storm the Capitol. And, like, you could watch the video, he's like, go inside. We're gonna go inside. If that's how susceptible right-wingers are to suggestion, I mean, they are morons. That's pretty fucking weak-minded. January 6th thing is bad, but also the intelligence agencies were involved in provoking people into the Capitol. That's a fact, Rogan said. Last month, Epps filed a defamation suit against Fox News, claiming that the conservative cable giant and former Fox News star Tucker Carlson commenced a years-long campaign spreading falsehoods about him and destroyed his life by making him a scapegoat for the January 6th attack. Carlson, in particular, regularly insinuated on his primetime show that Epps was an informant for the feds who helped stage manage the insurrection. In a statement to the Daily Beast on Tuesday morning, Epps attorney Michael Teeter blasted Rogan for breathing more life into the groundless allegations that Carlson initially made popular on the right. Joe Rogan's recent comments show the staying power and consequences of Fox's and Tucker Carlson's lies about Ray Epps. For years, Fox targeted Ray and spread falsehoods about him, and Fox viewers used the lies as a basis to harass and threaten Ray. The dude was an honest-to-God Trump supporter. He was a true believer, just like the QAnon shaman after he went in. And there was all these conspiracy theories about what he was doing. He was like, no, guys, I actually believe this shit. We listened to an interview that he gave from jail. It was like to the BBC or some shit. He's like, no, I'm really a Trump supporter. I honestly believe that the election was stolen. That's why I went in the Capitol. Right-wingers will turn on each other.
Do you think we're stupid?
Rudy?
You think we're fools?
Rudy might have flipped already. You know Rudy is not loyal enough to Trump. If he thinks he's facing real jail time, surely he's gonna turn on him. Rudy's a snake. There is new polling out about the matchup coming up in 2024 between presumably Biden and Donald Trump. The rematch that no one wanted.
Come on, man.
We'll check out some of that interview with the shaman.
News Chief White House correspondent Kristen Welker, who's been patiently waiting for us. I appreciate it, Kristen.
Sounds like fun.
I want to ask about
hear
politics.
from the
There's
shaman.
a New York Times Siena College poll out today.
Because he's gone, so he was repentant while he was in, but he's gone back on it. He's back full-fledged Trump supporter again. He's back into the MAGA cult. So I'm definitely interested to hear what the QAnon shaman has to say. But okay, once again, new polling in the Biden-Trump matchup in 2024.
Registered voters nationwide last week. If the 2024 presidential election were right now, who would get your vote? And it's a dead heat between President Biden and former President Trump, 43% each. But when you look at the voters who say, I don't like either of them right now, Biden gets a slight edge. I'm wondering if that means that the impact of all these indictments might be greater politically than what we have thought, Kristen?
Well, it could be. I think that's the key, Kate. It's possible that these indictments are starting to have an impact on the general election, and that could have an impact on independent voters, for example, who could be crucial in this next general election. Think about what happened in 2020. President Biden beat former President Trump among independents 42 to 37%. So think about that. But think about the primary. We have only seen former President Trump get stronger, become more emboldened with each new indictment. In fact, we've seen a real spike in terms of his fundraising every time.
He's calling on all the other Republicans to drop out, and they might. Stranger things have fucking happened. Republicans doing what Trump tells them to is not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they could just be left with Vivek and the dude that, like, I don't even know what he sounds like, but I've seen him like yap on Facebook with the sound off. I like Perry Johnson or whatever the hell his name is. It'll just be like those two, because like all the like Nikki Haley and Chris Christie, like, sure, boss, let's get out of there. Even though Chris Christie's been talking tough shit against Trump, he'll eventually crumble. He'll be like Trump's transition team leader again. All over again, same fucking thing. They all go back to kiss the ring. So all of them dropping out wouldn't surprise me.
One of these new indictments comes down, and financially speaking, though, it gets a little bit more complicated because he has spent millions of more dollars, I should say his super PAC has, than he's brought in on his legal fees. So that's where the complication comes in. Another potential complication, we're starting to see some of his GOP rivals really sharpen their attacks. Ron DeSantis, for example, starting to say that these legal problems are piling up and are making him unelectable. So there's no doubt there's a real question hovering over the broader impact.
Richard, it takes, I mean, I know the motherfucker has the Republican nomination locked up, but I mean, it takes a lot of effort to run for president. It takes a lot of effort to defend yourself in one criminal case. We're talking multiple criminal cases. He's facing like a fucking 100 years in jail. I just don't see how he's a factor come November of next year. And him being in the race just completely fucks up the GOP, because they've got no chance in hell of actually picking a candidate. But now what happens between now and this time next year? Holy shit. A lot hinges on whether he has gone to trial, and the Justice Department wants him to go to trial on both the Mar-a-Lago charges and these charges, like, in a few months. They want them, first quarter. The Mar-a-Lago, they asked for December. I do not know how Donald Trump is a factor in the election next year. Also, stranger things have happened. He has absolutely unwavering support. So even going to prison will not pull him off of the 28% of fervent fucking supporters that he has that are just brain dead fucking fascists. So, hell yeah, Cosmic Fox. Good evening. He definitely puts the fox in Cosmic Fox.
We'll have to see what happens if, in fact, he is indicted yet another time. Kate and Sinclair.
Thanks for watching our
There was nothing
YouTube
left.
channel.
Shut
Follow
up,
today's top
Lester.
stories.
I'm sorry. I do it every time. Lester's a good guy. Ain't nothing wrong with Lester Holt. Get so he's on the end of every video we watch from NBC. And it's annoying. All right, it's rocket launch time. I'm going to take the NASA feed now. I'm done talking. Well, I mean, that's not true.
Background, the countdown is continuing. Cygnus's transition to launch mode. We're getting ready.
I think we're about 15, 20 minutes away.
The International Space Station, named the SS Laurel Clark. I wonder if this Cygnus, this vehicle, this mission, and the name have any personal significance to you. Something that you tie.
It was like 15 minutes and 45 seconds.
Hi, Gary. Yes, actually, I was an undergraduate student at Arizona State University when Dr. Laura Clark was picked to be an astronaut, and being a Navajo woman and studying aerospace engineering, along with countless
about 8:31 Eastern time
women around the world who were wanting to pursue their engineering degrees. It was Laurel. She was an astronaut. She was a medical doctor, a U.S. Navy captain, a space shuttle mission specialist, and the thing that was very special to me is that she was also a fellow
Coming up after the launch, we're going to talk about the thwarted school shooting in Memphis.
Dr. John Harrington of the Chickasaw Nation, who was the first Native American in space. So she really had a tight bond with her entire class, and just knowing that
Marjorie Taylor Greene bullshit.
It's her incredible accomplished career and passion for the research in space that helped me cement my work in the aerospace industry. And, it's been 20 years since Columbia's space shuttle tragedy, and where Laurel and 6 others of the astronauts lost their lives. And, it's just been amazing to witness Dr. Clark's career.
Did you say 20? It's been like 30.
Her career to under the sea and to the stars, basically. And, she and the entire Columbia crew of the STS-107 continue to inspire, future generations of explorers. And Northrop Grumman is proud to commemorate our...
Oh, no, the 2003... Oh, I was thinking of the Challenger. I was thinking of the Challenger.
Has made a substantial contribution to the United States commercial space program and to human space flight. So we're very honored to have it named after her, and just a very special place in my heart for her and the entire crew of the STS-107.
And I think that special place is shared amongst the teams that are supporting this mission. Christina Helona, thank you so much for joining us for the launch show, and we're continuing down towards the T0 here.
Columbia was what they were talking about. Yes, thank you, Richard.
Of course, thank you.
Columbia Challenger, you can see how a stoner could get confused. Okay, maybe that wasn't the countdown. Oh shit, we were like a minute away from launch. Are we? Is that a clock? What the fuck is going on here? This clock I'm seeing over here, you can't see it because of my camera. It's counting up. I didn't notice that before.
As we were talking with Christina,
and I told you it was like 15 minutes.
For counting,
it says outing now.
Down. 2 T0 have been moving along.
Okay, Launch Team LC, we're coming up on our poll to proceed with final countdown. This is step 414.
The final countdown.
Let's go. RSO.
I think we're coming up on it though. Where's my weed?
TD. TD's go. Prop lead. Prop leads go. Stage 1.
Stage 1 is go.
MES1. MES1 is go. GCE. GCE is go. ACE. ACE is go. Mars. Mars is go. CMD. CMD go. LD. LD is go. NG. Northrop Grumman is proud to honor accomplished NASA astronaut.
Fuck you, Northrop Grumman.
U.S. Navy Captain and Space Shuttle Mission Specialist Dr. Laurel Clark.
You can suck my Northrop
Grumman. Was a
Grumman.
passionate contributor to the space program, improving our understanding of spaceflight effects on the human body.
The crew's successful completion of 80 experiments on the STS-107 mission advanced the bioscience knowledge of plant growth in space. A proud and dedicated wife and mother, Laurel spent most of her free time during the mission conversing with her family. But when she did get time to look out, she described it as glorious. It is therefore an honor to return her legacy to space to once again enjoy the view as the SS Laurel Clark and Northrop Grumman
is named after
for launch.
Copy that. We are good to proceed with final countdown.
Joey, good evening.
4:14.
Not exactly sure.
Godspeed, Patrick James.
And with that, we passed the 10-minute go, no-go poll for...
Okay, yeah, I thought it was about 8:30.
This evening.
I can't get an actual countdown. I don't know what the actual time is.
Check your headsets and mic.
Apparently we're about 10 minutes out.
And the engine evacuation started. Copy that, Ops 2. CMDLC countdown 1.
I just hate that we give so much of it over to the private sector.
So in the final 10 minutes of this countdown, we'll be following along through the milestones to get...
NASA could do any of this shit and do it better.
Coming up to listen out.
There we go, 10 minutes, 17 seconds.
Which is to internal power. Cygnus at this time is switched to its launch mode. T-minus 3 minutes, 30 seconds is an auto-sequence handoff, the terminal count. Computers, but at this point, will take over for the final steps through launch. And at T-minus 40 seconds, the tanks are pressurized for engine ignition at T0. We're tracking down to 8:31 and 14 seconds p.m. Eastern Time.
8:31 and 40 seconds.
LC, MES-1, vacuum verified in the fuel circuits. Okay, MES-1, I copy that. We'll check 416 complete.
I've not heard of them launching from this site, but apparently they have launched a few things from it. Coast of Virginia. I don't remember what the name is. Hold on. If you are on the East Coast, if you're hearing me right now, and you are in North Carolina, all the way up through like northern Pennsylvania,
Kerosene and liquid oxygen.
you can actually see this launch if you go outside right now. I encourage you to watch my stream. I appreciate the numbers.
ACS VDMs enabled.
But if this is something that you would nerd out about, please
Copy, like one. We'll check
it out.
Step 417 and 418.
Actually, let me give you the map in case you're listening to me and you're in one of these areas. You want to see the launch, what the map looks like.
A little bit about what to expect for Antares Ascent. It's a two-stage rocket, so the liquid oxygen or the liquid propellant will burn on the first stage for approximately 3 minutes 18 seconds until main engine cutoff, and then enter into a coast
way down
stage,
to
with first stage
the northern tip of South Carolina.
Fairing separation at 3 minutes 54 seconds.
Color indicates how long
interstage
after
separation,
takeoff
and then the stage 2 ignition after 4 minutes.
you'd be able to see it.
And this stage 2 is a solid rocket motor that burns for 2 minutes and 44 seconds. After another
all the way
coast
up
period,
into
the
northern
spacecraft will
Pennsylvania.
separate from the second stage shortly after 9 minutes
That's
to
Pennsylvania.
insert.
I don't even know what fucking
Cygnus
state that
into
is.
orbit.
Connecticut. The map looks funky to me with all the colors on it. Rocket's really cool looking. I would hope you're a mod. Good. I don't remember us ever getting anybody really abusive on YouTube, though. Like, we may have banned one person. 6 minutes and 30 seconds.
421, BTSO activation verified. Copy that. Check 421. Ops 2 initialized ground ordnance power supplies.
Ground ordnance power supplies initialized. LC Elect 1 ground ordnance power supplies are nominal.
Copy that. Elect 1, check
I love watching shit like this with you guys. Justin, good evening.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting.
We came on a little early tonight to cover the Trump shit so we could get to the rocket launch.
The floodlights on the launch pad. That's pad 0A at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport.
Initiated. Time 00.
Oh yeah, I was going to give you guys all the details.
Copy that. Check 425 complete.
This is the Northrop Grumman Antares. Is that how you say it? Antares? Let me put the story up on the screen for you guys.
413 Cygnus is launch mode and nominal. Copy that, CMD. Site control, can I get a call on 424?
That way, clinically can give me a phonetical pronunciation if I need.
Copy that. Check
the Northrop Grumman Antares rocket on an expedition to the International Space Station to deliver supplies and conduct investigations in a Tuesday night launch. The mission will examine spacecraft fire protection and the density of the Earth's uppermost atmosphere, among other scientific investigations.
Engine priming started.
Copy that. Ops 1, transfer avionics to internal power.
LC Ops 1, all internal power on, all external power off.
This is Wallops Flight Facility on the Wallops Island in Eastern Virginia.
Ops 1, open FTS umbiloop.
Wallops Island. Eastern Virginia.
Open and green.
We are 4 minutes and 20 seconds away.
Indications are nominal.
Ops 1, you go to send all armed command.
LC Ops 1, all armed command sent. LC Elect 1, safe and arms, and ODMs are all armed.
NASA TV, report range status.
Range is green.
So supplies to the space station.
Copy that. MES-1, check
conducting tests in the atmosphere.
Inside 4 minutes from launch, the team's reporting that the range is green and Terry's mates
You'll have time if you are
down the eastern seaboard and across the Atlantic.
On one of the, or you're in one of the eastern states. Clinically, good evening.
Visibility of Antares, and in this night sky, you may get a good view.
This is a one of those quasi-public-private partnerships.
Sightings, but for those that are close to the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport over at Wallops Island, there may be some sightings through the first leg of ascent. 3 minutes 15 seconds and counting.
Oh, it's taking supplies to the space station.
437.
Fuck Northrop Grumman and their ad that we heard a little bit ago. Be glad you weren't here for that clinically.
Copy, Elect 1. Be advised you're coming in faint.
ODM bus voltages and currents are nominal.
Copy that. Check 438.
Quesadilla, that sounds about right.
Verify ready for nav mode.
Thank you for your insight. Your cervix. Thank you for your cervix.
Copy that. Ops 2, switch to nav.
LC Ops 2, switched to nav.
It's apparently cloudy in the Carolinas.
41.
May not get a good sighting of the rocket.
LC GNC 1, nav mode verified.
Copy that. We'll check 442. And we're at T-minus 2 minutes and counting.
Damn right. Cut it. Do it right. Less than 2 minutes. God, to the to the launch of this here phallic symbol into the air.
1 minute, 30 seconds.
Not manned. It is shaped like a man's penis, though.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Sorry about the confusion with the launch when we first got over here.
T-minus 1
I'm
minute.
bad with numbers, very bad with the math.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3.
Good you're happy tonight.
I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
I did a lot of math. Put this rocket up into the air. A math I don't fucking understand. Took physics in college. I was like, not for me.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Seconds. If you're gonna smoke it up, get it ready. Gotta pack another one.
T-minus 10.
10 seconds.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off the Antares NG-19 launch vehicle, all facility.
Beautiful.
Antares taking Northrop Grumman's commercial resupply mission 19 into orbit to the International Space Station. Flight controllers reporting a nominal ascent for Antares.
Still cooperating with Russia on spaceship?
Attitude nominal. Pressurization is nominal. Remain at 100% thrust. Steady.
Different times they'll put their shit aside.
Stage 1 TBC is nominal.
Elaborate on space stuff. Like the International Space Station, for example.
Nominal. Power is nominal. Vehicle passing through max gear.
And that would make sense since it is going to the space
Next
station.
use the maximum dynamic pressure experienced on Antares.
Core pressurization valves are nominal. Engines remain nominal and steady. LCA, your go. Godspeed, Antares. Thank you, LCA.
Antares.
Happy to the burn.
God damn, what a camera shot this is. How they doing this? How they pulling this off?
Attitude remains nominal.
We've watched a few of these, and we've never gotten one,
Engine remains
with
nominal.
this kind of
steady
zoom.
Passing through 5,000 feet per second.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Oh my, you can't big it. My gate causes you to not hear it.
Engines remain nominal. Electrical power is nominal.
DJ Dub makes an excellent point.
Core position is nominal. We're approximately 40 seconds from MECO.
Six didn't get to see it.
Slow throttle down has begun.
That's the longest we've ever got to follow one up, I do believe.
Attitude remains nominal.
3 minutes into the flight of Antares, we got about 15 seconds until main engine cutoff.
Rapid throttle down, steady at 55% thrust. We have main engine cutoff. Ellis is taking care of business.
There's another engine that's actually going at night, right?
We have stage separation.
Booster.
Switching to animation with confirmed stage separation as we lose Antares into the clouds on this hazy evening.
Enabled.
ACS is enabled.
Stage 2 ignition time expected at mission time 2:46.
Stage 1 ignition expected probably.
Well, Space Force is
expected in approximately 10 seconds.
staying in Colorado and not moving to Alabama.
Antares currently in a coast phase.
Stage 2 ignition and TBC battery is nominal.
Second stage solid rocket motor has ignited.
Power remains nominal.
We'd be able to see it
Stage
again
will burn
now.
for 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
Too far away now.
30 XL will burn for approximately 2.5 minutes. Power remains nominal.
Nominal.
Stage 2 TBC is nominal.
Flight controllers reporting good performance on the second stage.
Power remains nominal.
What a cool day we've had. Trump got indicted. We got a rocket launch.
And power's nominal. We are approximately 100 seconds from stage 2 burnout.
Attitude still nominal.
Attitude remains nominal. TBC is performing nominally. Power remains nominal. Stage 2 TBC remains nominal. Power is nominal.
TVC, wasn't that a David Bowie song?
TBC remains nominal. 50 seconds to stage 2 burnout.
Is that what he was talking about, a rocket? That would make sense.
TBC, electrical power remain nominal.
Never understood that song. Trump gets indicted every week now. It's not as fun anymore. This one was really serious, though. Probably the most serious of the ones we've seen.
Power remain nominal.
I think the Smokey.
Beginning to see tail off in motor pressure.
I told you could do that, son. But the state one in Georgia could be the most consequential.
6 minutes 55 seconds into the flight. The second stage solid rocket motor has burned out.
ACS enabled.
Or ACS payload enabled.
We're now entering about approximately a 2-minute coast phase.
Antares is in orbit and will coast for roughly 100 seconds prior to payload separation.
Glad we got a cool little animation. They doing the little light thing.
Seven minutes 45 seconds into the flight of Antares. After spacecraft separation, it will take approximately 2 hours 30 minutes until the solar arrays are unfurled to start collecting power for the Cygnus vehicle.
How long does it take it to reach
Shortly
the space
after
station?
spacecraft separation, we'll have a representative from the International Space Station program online to provide some comments on the flight of Antares and some comments on Cygnus's journey to the International Space Station. We'll plan to wrap our coverage shortly after orbital insertion but please stay tuned for updates online.
Orbital insertion.
You live in sexual anarchy?
I have some valuable advice for you if you are going to be doing orbital insertion.
Spacecraft separation is
Life is too short to
coming
walk
up on
this earth
30 seconds.
across the earth or wash your ass.
Vehicle continues to coast prior to payload separation. And we have payload separation.
And the flight control teams confirm the visuals you're seeing here on the animation. Cygnus has separated from the Antares second stage, flying free and beginning its journey to the International Space Station.
I free little one.
All right, launch team, LC.
Okay,
on,
they should have put an epilepsy
countdown,
warning on
and,
that.
we're
Fuck,
gonna
what?
proceed with our post-launch checklist. We've confirmed that we've had Cygnus separate.
Pumpkin Spice, good evening. I was not talking about fucking eye sockets.
A mic drop.
You're getting a live view of the Wallops Range Control Center.
Fucking eye socket. That sounds more like a you thing.
That was overseeing the launch of
Taylor Shabusiness thing.
A over at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Space.
Just Taylor Shabusiness things.
Actually, see in the back row there, International Space Station Program Manager Joel Montalbano, in the pink shirt with the red tie, congratulating the teams and overseeing a successful launch of 8,200 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station. Meanwhile, in Dulles, Virginia, the journey has just started for the flight control team over in the Mission Operations Center there. They'll be overseeing Cygnus's journey to the International Space Station over the next few days.
I think they meant a literal microphone dropped. I don't think they meant it figuratively. It's your business as usual. I've got that's Taylor Shabusiness is the next drop I got to create.
Of course, the operations today were executed by the team you see on the screen here. International
Make a meme, just Taylor Shabusiness things.
Every step of the countdown and Antares flight and delivery of Cygnus into orbit.
I already got the kid's head in a bucket.
Thanks to the Wallops Range Control Center.
The first time I did this story, I made a graphic with his head in the bucket.
They'll be overseeing Cygnus's flight, as well as us here in the International Space Station Flight Control.
I'm laughing about it. I'm a horrible person.
Next couple of days until Friday morning,
Justin.
When Cygnus arrives at the International Space Station and is captured by the station's robotic arm.
Talking over valuable information. I'm sorry. I'm a doofus.
Now, after a successful operation this evening, we are lucky enough to have Jeff Arendt, who is the manager of the Systems Engineering and Integration Office and the International Space Station program based here in Houston. Jeff, how do you hear us?
Loud and clear, Gary. How do you hear me?
Hey, loud and clear. Thank you for joining us, Jeff, and providing some remarks. We just saw Antares deliver 8,200 pounds of cargo, including science and supplies, to the into orbit, and it's on its way to the International Space Station. I'm curious, from your perspective, from the International Space Station program perspective, what are some of the key highlights of science, hardware, something on this vehicle, something on this mission that you're particularly looking forward to arriving at the International Space Station?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think three come to my mind pretty quick. The first would be this is the final iteration of the Sapphire series of spacecraft fire protection experiments, and so that's flying on this flight. That's been a really interesting set of experiments, and we've learned a tremendous amount, to be honest with you.
But what?
The second, I think, we're flying some neural cells that will be cultured in 3D cell models for gene therapy testing. The experiment is called Neuronics. Gene therapy shows promise, but the 3D
I've done Neurotic before. It's a weird drug.
Therapies do not form in Earth's gravity, so creating these 3D cell cultures in microgravity could provide a critical platform for drug discovery and gene therapy testing. So really, really cool stuff. The last would be
look like two little ETs
a new potable water dispenser. We're actually calling it our Exploration Portable Water Dispenser. It provides hot water and improved sanitation for the crew's use. This will double the number of water dispensers that we have on board and certainly speed up meal preparation, because I think, as you know, and most of our listeners know, because rehydration is required for so many of the crew's meals, having one dispenser, I'm sure, takes a while for meal prep. So I'm sure the crew will be very excited about that.
There's a goddamn good-looking water dispenser.
First, I'm sure they would choose that one just so they can get a couple of snacks early.
Sexy.
Absolutely.
Jeff, we're coming up on 10 years since Cygnus
Gave me a little bit of a chubby.
Orbital Sciences in September of 2013. When Cygnus birthed first to the International Space Station for a demonstration mission. Now we're 10 years into it. We're talking about the Commercial Resupply Service's 19 mission. So if you reflect on the past decade, what can you say about the impact of commercial cargo operations for International Space Station and continuing to support the operations?
Yeah, in a word, I'd say essential. Critically essential. I don't think that's almost redundant, but with the retirement of the Space Shuttle, we lost our capability to resupply the ISS. And cargo resupply from U.S. companies is critical.
Thank you. I've been jonesing for a replay.
That enough. It ensures our national capability to deliver critical hardware, science research, significantly increases the ability of NASA.
I was going to do it myself if they didn't get around to it.
Other U.S. government agencies, private industry, and academic and research institutions can also conduct microgravity research through our partnership with the International Space Station National Laboratory. But again, in a word, it's absolutely essential.
It's essential for the operations and continuing operations. I think for this particular mission, there's also a sentimental value to it. And as you know, Cygnus spacecraft get named after significant contributors to human spaceflight. And this one is named after Laurel Clark, who tragically lost her life aboard Space Shuttle Columbia in 2003. And it can be a reminder of the risks of human spaceflight and the work that has been done over the past 20 years to continuously improve mission safety and assurance. So after today's successful launch and you reflect on the risks of human spaceflight, what can you say about maintaining a level of vigilance and NASA's role in working with private companies to ensure lessons in safety are shared and implemented?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And, my hat's off to Laurel and her entire crew. And we'll never forget those guys. Focusing on the fact that safety is a top priority at NASA and the lessons learned are deeply embedded in our culture. We share our lessons learned with the younger generations as they enter the workforce, and we work collaboratively with our commercial partners to ensure the lessons are passed on and openly shared and implemented to ensure our future success in human spaceflight. The other thing I'd add is, following the Columbia accident, NASA formalized an additional level of diligence by defining institutional technical authorities for safety, engineering, and crew health. These senior engineers and doctors work to ensure all concerns are heard and work to resolution not only for NASA hardware, but in an ever-expanded role to ensure our lessons learned are shared with both our commercial and international partners. What we do is not easy, and you just got to keep your nose down.
You act like it's rocket science or some shit.
Jeff, and I think it's a testament to the success of this launch. It makes it looks easy that we just lift off the pad and go into orbit, but certainly a lot of work was put into it. Jeff Aaron, thank you so much for joining us for today's coverage and providing these remarks. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gary. Appreciate it.
That was Jeff Aaron, Manager of Systems Engineering and Integration Office at the International Space Station Program. With that, we will begin concluding our coverage for today's launch. Again, Cygnus is in orbit after a successful orbital insertion by the Antares launch vehicle, and it will make its journey to the International Space Station, rendezvousing Friday for a capture and berthing. You can tune into our coverage then on Friday morning. We'll begin our coverage at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're expecting the capture by the robotic arm controlled by Woody Hoberg, the prime robotic arm operator, and backed up by Frank Rubio at 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:55 a.m. Central Time on Friday, August 4th. Now, since this is a berthing operation, we'll break our coverage and begin the installation coverage at 7:30 a.m. a.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 a.m. Central, where Cygnus will be maneuvered by the station's robotic arm and berthed to the Unity port of the International Space Station. This is the center node that is part of the International Space Station, and the common home for Cygnus vehicles that arrive aboard the orbiting complex. Now again, we're about to wrap up our television coverage, but stay tuned online for updates on the unfurling of the Ultraflex solar arrays on the Cygnus that will provide power for its journey and arrival at the International Space Station on Friday morning. Now, that will wrap up our coverage here in Mission Control Houston. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, NASA peeps. I like it. Really spacey. We're on the NASA channel.
It's a new era of pioneers, star sailors, thinkers, and adventurers.
NASA's got their own streaming platform now.
Let's go.
We're NASA. Ended. They're not even on the YouTube 24/7. What the hell? I mean, I guess I'm okay with. Why wouldn't they just be like on YouTube and putting that on their website? A lot of like proprietary video on their website. NASA is good for space footage. I use it quite a bit. You can go get free 4K space footage from NASA. I appreciate that in my video editing. Alright, we're not going to get like a full array of news, but we're going to find out a little bit what that news be doing tonight. Here's something wild. Over 5,000 gallons of biological waste was removed from an illegal California lab that contained bioengineered mice and disease samples including HIV and hepatitis. And what the fuck is up with that picture? First of all, it looks like the mouse is enjoying it.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Hit the content warning before we... Fuck. We're gonna get TOS'd over this fucking story. Investigators discovered an illegal medical lab in California, in a California warehouse in March. The lab contained and we're just now finding out about it? Just now finding out about it on July 31st? 10:46 p.m. Investigators discovered an illegal medical lab in a California warehouse in March. The lab contained bioengineered mice, samples of diseases such as COVID-19, HIV, herpes. Months after being found, the lab was emptied and over 5,000 gallons of medical waste were removed. It took months after a makeshift medical lab was discovered in California before investigators emptied the property, removing thousands of gallons of pathological waste and bioengineered mice from the illegal warehouse research center. Tones, good evening. This is blowing my mind. Investigators, did they know what they were doing? Did they have the proper PPE to deal with this shit? An investigation by the Fresno Department of Public Health revealed hazardous material was being kept within the warehouse and inadequate refrigerators and freezers after a code enforcement officer noticed a hose illegally connected to the building last December. I'm going to be honest, this is an unprecedented event that has happened, and really this is the first lab that has ever popped up like this where we've needed enforcement. This was approximately 1,000 mice found on site. 200 were already deceased. Jesus. When it was searched in March and April after warrants were filed with the health department, the lab was found to contain medical equipment and dozens of unlabeled vials. What the fuck is going on over here? Why is there two tones? Two tones. Seen two tones over here. Oh, that hurt a little bit, Smoke. Doing, buddy? Not high enough for this shit. When it was searched in March and April after warrants were filed with the health department, the lab was found to contain medical equipment of dozens and dozens of unlabeled vials, some of which were labeled later determined to hold bacterial and viral infectious agents, including E. coli, chlamydia, herpes, and hepatitis. In addition to the blood, tissue, and disease samples, investigators found about 1,000 lab mice that a representative for the company told investigators had been bioengineered to catch and carry the COVID-19 virus. Roughly 200 of the mice had died, Harper told Insider. The lab representative. Was Elon Musk running this motherfucker? Harper told Insider that the lab representative, who referenced bioengineering to investigators, spoke limited English, which may have meant that the mice were injected with the diseases to get them to produce antibodies as supplies for creating rapid tests for pregnancy and COVID-19 were found on site. That don't sound sketchy at all. And why are we just now finding out about it? A potential another day in mass shooting USA was thwarted by security. Jewish school in Memphis, Tennessee. As cops thwart mass shooting, staff at Margolin Hebrew Academy, Feinstone Yeshiva of the South. That's not a mouthful. Called Memphis police at 12:20 p.m. on Monday to report a gunman near the school. The school shared a photo of the gunman, describing him as in his 40s and armed with a handgun, driving a red pickup with California plates. He was stopped by police nearby and shot by officers. He remains in a critical condition in hospital. Congressman Steve Cohen said he was a former student. Breadline, welcome home. A picture of the gunman. I don't know that he actually entered the school. Surveillance camera footage shows a man armed with a handgun attempting to get into the school on Monday. The interior doors were closed. This is like an exterior door and it had like a little foyer. side of the Hebrew Academy. I think we do have video attached to this.
We're following breaking news at this hour, a shooting involving a Memphis police officer under investigation.
And we've learned the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation confirms that agents have been called in to investigate this shooting by the district attorney, Steve Mulroy. The scene playing out this afternoon on McCrory Avenue near Avon in Berkeley, East Memphis, where Memphis police are going to address the media momentarily. And if we're ready to do that, we'll listen in. As you can see right there, we have a large scene with police cars, a chopper above, a crime scene tape cordoning off the area, and a large number of Memphis police representatives on this scene on McCrory at Avon in the Berkeley area, where our understanding is a Memphis police officer involved in a shooting. The police command unit, as you can see there, has arrived on the scene, indicative of a major event that police are investigating. And so this is the scene as it's playing out, and I believe the assistant police chief is going to speak.
You ready? All right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Don Crow, Assistant Chief of Police for the Memphis Police Department, and I'm here to give you the preliminary information on the officer-involved shooting. As you can see, the scene is behind us. The scene is very active right now. We're very early in the investigation. But this incident actually started at about 12:20 this afternoon when officers from Appling Farm Station responded to an armed party call to Hebrew Academy on South White Station. On the scene, they learned that the suspect tried to enter the building armed with a gun. When he could not gain entry, he fired shots outside the school. Thankfully, that school had a great safety procedure and process in place and avoided anyone being harmed or injured at that scene. We cannot thank the people from Hebrew Academy enough for their vigilance and for their ability to get information to us. They were able to provide us with a photograph of the suspect. They also provided us with the vehicle description that the suspect left. He left that.
Wait, is he alive? Did we get that? I read it earlier. Is he alive? Oh, he remains in critical condition. I read that headline to you just minutes ago and fucking forgot in the course of watching that video. I am stupid. Very stupid.
Seen in a maroon Ram pickup truck with California tags. We put that information out citywide to our Memphis officers. We also shared it with the Shelby County Sheriff's Department and the Bartlett Police Department because of the part of the county that it was on. Great partnership with Shelby County Sheriff's Department, with the Bartlett Police Department. They put officers in the field to look for that.
Oh, well, Sticks, we're going like this is like the press conference when it just happened. Like we're like a day later. So the article was up to date, whereas the cop isn't like. This is him telling, like, the news people didn't know what was going on yet.
Shortly after that, officers with the Memphis Police Department did spot that suspect vehicle. They followed that suspect vehicle until they could get enough officers here to conduct a safe traffic stop. The suspect pulled the vehicle over. He immediately emerged out of the vehicle with a gun in his hand, and that resulted in an officer discharging his duty weapon. That suspect was struck. That suspect has been transported to Regional 1 Hospital in critical condition. Along with this process, we notified District Attorney General Mulroy, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is now taking over the investigation.
Does the suspect have any connection to the school, and is this considered to be a hate crime against the Jewish community?
So it's way too early for that. Again, we're very early in the investigation, very preliminary in the investigation. We still have officers and detectives on the scene at the Hebrew Academy.
We were there around 12:30 as well, and we saw that there was a lot of construction going on in construction.
Apparently he was a former student.
There, and the scene's grown now. Was the suspect also a construction worker working on that school?
Again, everything is very preliminary. Everything's under investigation. Please give us a chance. I will tell you this, today is a great example of very alert, vigilant officers trying to protect the city. I personally truly believe that we have avoided a tragedy. I think this suspect was going to harm somebody before the day was over.
It was almost.
Officers were able to intervene and protect the citizens.
And did the suspect fire, or did the officers fire shots as well?
I cannot thank our Memphis police officers enough for their bravery and their dedication to duty and how they handled this scene. And I tell you, we just want to thank every citizen that provided us information. We want to talk about technology helped us with this case. It was just a great example of what police work should be like. That's all we're going to answer right now.
He's eager to say that because don't remember what was it, or I don't remember. I'm probably too stoned for this. Remember, it was just back last fall when we saw the Memphis Police Department beat the holy fuck out of a dude for no goddamn reason. I don't even... That Tyree Nichols. It's all of these different incidents run together. This happens far too frequently in America. Only in America. I have a hard time keeping up with the police shootings and beatings. But I think that might have been Tyree Nichols. Okay, are you ready for a fire whirl? Fire whirl. A fire whirl vortex race across the Mojave Desert as a massive wildfire rages through the west. We talked about this last night. The northwest and the southwest both completely ablaze right now. A wildfire that started in a California national park has burned tens of thousands of acres and is so intense that it's spewing dangerous, spinning whirlwinds of fire. Thanks, climate change. Officials said that the York fire ignited in the Mojave National Preserve near the end of last month, burning 30,000 acres by Sunday. Dry vegetation and high winds created extremely challenging conditions, and in some areas there were 20-foot flames. By the end of that same day, it had spread to 70,000 acres and spread into Nevada. This is one of the fire whirlwinds. Fire whirl vortex. Fire whirl vortex. A fire whirl vortex. You have sound for this? No. What does a fire whirl vortex sound like? It's scary to look at, I know that. I like that the top comment is fire. We're doomed as a species, aren't we? Then again, who am I? I'm on this stream making morbid jokes about the most god-awful thing, so who am I to criticize Gramont J putting fire? I gotta give him props. I don't like it. I gotta log into my Instagram though. Oh, sorry. Congratulations. Congratulations. Fire whirl vortex. Ain't even into hurricane season yet. It's gonna be a doozy this year. What's the winter gonna be like this year? One day it's gonna be like fucking 3 feet of snow, and the next day it's gonna be fire whirl vortexes. Oh my god! Doomed. We're doomed. I had that dipshit, my stalker on my page, tell me climate change wasn't real. And it was like, let me show you the my stalker here. First of all, Heather, you're awesome. If you might be listening to this, that's who this dumbass is talking to. Hey, Justin, come get your mom. Oh God, I love Heather more than my mom. She shares your obtuseness. What I want to point out here is I have no clue what they're talking about because I didn't even read the back and forth they had. Number 3, climate change is a bullshit term created when the global warming. When the global warming was being debunked. You people, quote unquote, had to come up with a new term. Notice how no one says global warming anymore. Ever wonder why? Of course not. That would require a level of intellectual curiosity sheep don't possess. And you citing the debunked 96% line again proves what you are. And you be gone soon, what do you care? You be gone soon, what do you care is indicative of their attitude. I pointed out that he literally proved that he is the sheep that doesn't possess the level of intellectual curiosity that it would take to look up the difference between global warming and climate change and go through the is it etymology? So the internet is full of references to global warming. The Union of Concerned Scientists website on climate change is titled Global Warming, just one of many examples. But we don't use global warming much on this website. This is the NASA website. We use the less appealing climate change. Why? To a scientist, global warming describes the average global surface temperature increase from human emissions of greenhouse gases. It was first used in 1975. Science article by geochemist Wallace Bachner of Columbia University. Change, are we on the brink of pronounced global warming? So that's 1975. 1975, this paper, climate change, are we on the brink of a pronounced global warming? And NASA goes on to describe all the different ways that scientists use global warming to describe the change in temperature of the Earth. That climate change is a long-term change in the Earth's climate or of a region of the Earth. Warming is the increase in the Earth's average surface temperature due to rising levels of greenhouse gases. And NASA makes it clear that scientists don't use these interchangeably. They mean two different things when they're talking about them. This was just a layman not knowing what the fuck he was talking about, trying to make like some sort of gotcha. But how did he put it? Of course not. That would require a level of intellectual curiosity sheep don't possess. Of course not. Require a level of intellectual curiosity cheap don't possess. Politics before we get out of here, shall we? Politics. We'll find out what that political news be doing. Marjorie Taylor Greene says that there is a bipartisan conspiracy to trigger her. Trigger her. There's a bipartisan conspiracy to trigger her.
Do you think we're stupid?
I didn't mean to hit that
you think
one.
we're
I meant
fools?
to hit Rush. So Rudy and Rush are right side by side. It's kind of, I shouldn't do that.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks everyone is out to get her.
But things didn't turn out that way. America elected President Trump, and then the deep state went into action. And that's where we have all these characters that are really important for people to know about. People like Dan Goldman, a new congressman, freshman congressman. I serve on 2 committees with him. And he was the person that people have probably seen all over the news. You showed the clip as well, where he's spinning and telling, oh, no, they were just talking about weather and it wasn't that big of a deal. But Dan Goldman is the prosecutor. He's a federal prosecutor, and he's still in the prosecutor mode as a member of Congress. And he uses his job every single day to continue to prosecute President Trump. In our committee hearings, no matter the issue, no matter the topic, whether we're talking about the border, we're talking about fentanyl deaths, we're talking about important oversight hearings, he finds any way possible to attack President Trump in the 5 minutes that he's given on our very important committee hearings. Not only does he attack President Trump, So
I'm going to go ahead and once again make my prediction that Donald Trump will at some point in time announce Marjorie Taylor Greene as his running mate. Georgia is now a swing state. Trump needs Georgia to win. She is a congresswoman from Georgia. She is the #1 fundraiser. That's a key thing for Donald Trump, especially because his war chest is helping to finance his legal battles. She is the top fundraiser for the Republicans.
He attacks me much of the time. And for some reason, they always schedule it to where Dan Goldman is usually speaking after me at some point, or possibly right before me. And I think that's part of the plan. They're trying to trigger me, make me angry. But it's always political. All of his 5-minute testimonies and questioning towards our witnesses are always.
You catch that? She's accusing the Republicans have control. She's accusing the Republicans of trying to trigger her by putting a Democrat right after her all the time. It's a political conspiracy. But that's the weird thing is she's on Team Kevin McCarthy. She helped Kevin McCarthy become Speaker. She's on the committee she wanted to be on.
Again, prosecutor mode, going after President Trump, or trying to trigger me and others on our committees to be angry and attack him back. So there's no change at him. But you have to think about him in a different way. He's not just a leftist. He's very progressive. He's radically progressive. He's more in the lane of like George Soros and George Soros's son that now controls the Soros billions of dollars. That's who Dan Goldman is. Remember, he's a trust fund baby. He's the heir of Levi Strauss.
Okay, so I wasn't going to play this, but just because she absolutely is triggered by this dude, we're going to listen to him tell us what happened inside of the Hunter Biden's friend that testified yesterday. We went over this last night, but Dan Goldman, I believe is his name. He broke down exactly what happened yesterday with the Hunter Biden bullshit. This is the congressman that has triggered Marjorie Taylor Greene so bad.
Exactly what Joe Biden advocated. That's the only evidence at all of Joe Biden's connection in any way, shape, or form to Hunter Biden's business interests. And it begs the question, Hunter Biden has been investigated by the Department of Justice by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney for 5 years, including all of the foreign business accounts, foreign bank records, FARA violations, all that stuff. That's the Department of Justice's job. Congress's job is not to investigate a private citizen. Congress's job is oversight, and there must be some legislative purpose, and that has to connect to Joe Biden, and there is simply no connection.
So, as you say, and we've said many times on this show, there's just been no evidence. They've been given a ton of opportunities. James Comer last night on Hannity, what's the evidence? Hannity pleading with him, show us something. Well, all we have is smoke. We don't have any fire. And you would think, as you say, over many years, they would have found it by now. Do you concede at least, though, that it was unseemly for Hunter Biden, that it appears at least 20 times there was a business deal, to just so happen to call up the Vice President of the United States and to suggest, look, I'm connected to people in high places. You want me on this deal?
Well, I think Hunter Biden has been open about that himself, that he certainly used his last name to benefit his own business interests. The question, though, is not whether Hunter Biden did anything. The question is whether he did have any influence or did have any access, and whether the president did anything to benefit Hunter. And what was clear in the testimony yesterday is that there were many instances where Hunter Biden tried to get, quote, credit for something that his father did completely independent. And the key here is that they never discussed business. They said hello. It was, greetings, niceties, salutations, small talk. It was never involved with business. And even Devin Archer said that Joe Biden has no business experience, wouldn't have known what Hunter was doing, and was not interested.
Okay, usually I would content warning Joe. But Joe and Mika aren't there, and I think we all agree that Willie is, pretty good journalist. Are we all in agreement on that one? That's why I did not hit the content warning. I did think about it because it is Morning Joe, and we all do really it's exhausting. It's very exhausting. However, without Joe and Mika there, it's a pretty good show.
Nor ever discussed it. And so not only was there no evidence connecting Joe Biden, but the allegations that Joe Biden lied are wrong as well. He didn't discuss Hunter's business dealings.
So, Congressman, just because it is the source of so much smoke, could you just, with specifics, tell us these phone calls that were a matter of such discussion yesterday, what were they about? What would then Vice President Biden say?
Yeah, those three dudes, they're all okay.
Walk us through what happened.
Right. So let's put this in context. Beau Biden got very sick in early 2015. He died in the spring of 2015, which was right in the middle when Devin Archer had his business
Morning Joe
with Hunter Biden. At that point, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden began to speak every day because they were both devastated by Beau's death. They spoke every day. The witness testified that over his 10-year relationship with Hunter Biden, there may be approximately 20 times when in one of those conversations, Hunter Biden would put his father at a dinner, not at a business meeting, at a dinner that he was having if he happened to get a hold of his father, and would ask his father to say hello to whoever was at the table. And that was essentially the extent of it. They didn't. It was unclear, and the witness testified. This is not me saying that. The witness testified that.
Hey, Dad, say hello, my friends.
Joe didn't even know.
That's the Vice President. Ho ho ho.
So this was just simply, this may have been Hunter's effort to say, hey, this.
I thought Hunter was cooler than that. It sounds like a real dork thing to do.
Is, you know, the vice president, this is my dad. But the critical part here for Congress, and that's what we have to make sure we understand, is that Joe Biden was doing nothing to benefit his son.
So, Congressman, you used the word illusion a couple of minutes ago, and Congressman Comer, your chairman, appears to be trying to sell the illusion of deep criminality that Hunter Biden participated in. You also framed up the time period of 2013 through 2016, 2017, at which point Hunter Biden is alleged to have taken money from Ukraine.
I think they want some of that Hunter cog.
He was trying to do business with, and that's the source of some charges that he failed to register with the State Department or whoever you register.
No, the charges are not that he has not been charged with that.
I know, but if he were to be charged by this committee or the Justice Department, isn't the statute of limitations on all of those things, isn't it 5 years? Wouldn't it be over with? They couldn't do anything?
We've extracted all the tidbits from that interview. That was Representative Dan Goldman from New York, who apparently makes Marjorie Taylor Greene really mad. She called him a far-right leftist funded by George Soros. He went all out on him, so there must be something to this young man. He is a freshman congressman, so keep an eye on him. Apparently, a lot of people couldn't keep an eye on the sky thanks to Elon Musk in San Francisco. Neighbors complained about Elon's X sign on Twitter headquarters, or X's headquarters, whatever the fuck it is. Couldn't find the fucking app today because it's called X now. Stupid. As someone pointed out, I think it was in a tweet or some shit, like, to tweet has a dictionary definition. Twitter is the only social media that has that kind of brand recognition. And Elon Musk just threw it away because he's a genius. X, the sign, gets removed. Oh, goddamn, epilepsy warning again. Why would it be doing that? That's atrocious. Oh my God. And they wouldn't let building inspectors inspect the sign before they put it up. They were warned. This stupid motherfucker. Oh my God, I hate him so much. He is so dumb. Wow. Firm refused to let building inspectors check the sign despite warnings that it required a permit. I think we're going to see them broke in our lifetime. Thus, attempts to remove the old Twitter sign have been refused. Musk accused his landlord of being behind the calls to the authorities in a tweet with a clown emoji, because of course he did. Idiot. An absolute idiot. What the fuck kind of Twitch drama is going on? What the hell are you guys doing? probably a good thing I'm not over there anymore. I'm getting messages about just bullshit. That's two people I like. I don't want them to be fighting. What the hell is up with that? Kids. Taylor Swift gifts tour crew members $100,000 bonuses. The singer handed out six-figure checks this past weekend. Swift's The Eras Tour is well on its way to becoming the highest-grossing tour in history, with the singer herself estimated to walk away with at least $500 million. Jesus. Well, good on her. Good on her for giving out $100,000 bonuses. I would hope they already made a nifty sum for being on her crew, but good on her for giving like that money to them out of her. I assume that's her personal money. Prior to her shows in Santa Clara last weekend, Swift reportedly handed out six-figure bonuses to the 50 or so truckers who have hauled her stage across the country over the last several months. She also gave bonuses to her band members, dancers, lighting and sound technicians, caterers, and others. Not the biggest fan. There's a handful of songs I really like. They're all newer songs. But she seems like she's, pretty cool for a rich celebrity snob. Still don't think any single person should ever make $500 million, but good on her for giving money out like that. I salute her. I salute The Rock for making the donation he did to the SAG-AFTRA. We're gonna do Jordan Peterson and Bill Maher tomorrow. I was a little disorganized with how the show was put together tonight because of the rocket launch. Here's a dog on a skateboard. Oh, for Taylor Swift? Yeah, clinically, well, I mean, we don't know. She gave $100,000 to each of the 40. But then we don't know how much she gave to caterers, crew members, her sound techs. And that's her bonusing them on top of what they made. I assume if you're the sound tech for Taylor Swift, you're probably making a pretty good salary. Probably making six figures already. So a six-figure bonus on top of that, it's pretty fucking nice. When I say six figures, if you're the sound tech for Taylor Swift, you're probably in the $100,000 to $300,000 range. That's just me taking a wild guess off the top of my head, having an educated guess, some knowledge of the industry. I mean, also you're probably not making you're not being paid by the year, right? You're not making a yearly salary. But assume Taylor pays quite well for her tour, but you're also doing other tours throughout the year. From a sound tech's perspective. puppy's awfully cute. He's having a blast too. What a fucking cute face. Ida, good evening. I'm mesmerized by him. Wait, is this the same dog? These are two different dogs. That dog ain't got no tail. The other one had a tail. Does he have a tail and it's tucked? No, he's a little bobtail. I don't know what's going on. I'm fucked up. Description? Hey, shut up. I don't want no fucking. It says, "Look at this skater dog," but I think that might be two different dogs. Oh wait, is that the tail's on the costume? Justin, you're dumb. Justin, you're dumb. Yep. That's that'll do it for me tonight. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow.